After watching the Don't Hug Me I'm Scared TV show, I can't stop thinking about it. And you could even go on to say I've got a worm in my brain.
Pesky bee.
So to keep those juices flowing, I thought we'd do some ranking videos. With this one starting us off by ranking the episodes from worst to best. And just to let you know, there will be a lot of spoilers being talked about here, so that is your spoiler warning. So starting this off, coming in at number 6 is the episode Friendship. Now this may be at the bottom of the list, but there was a great moment in the intro which really caught me off guard by Red Guy.
We live in an actual nightmare!
It's computer day, but Yellow Guy forgets the password after it being the only job he has to do is remember it. But luckily for Yellow Guy, he's got some great friends and they call him a...
Yeah, you can't help it. You're just a...
And after that we get introduced to Roran the Eagle, who looks remarkably like a worm. And with this guy, I like his design. I like the human teeth in his mouth and the yellow eyes, for example, and especially when they start expanding when he's getting roasted by the three of them. But he got kind of my nerves after a while. And it makes perfect sense that he is annoying, but it gets into that loop where he's annoying and you get it, but he's still annoying. And I'm pretty sure I won't be alone in that fact, but I think he's that sort of character which, so many people won't like him, but he'll get his own fan base because of it. Anyway, the episode goes on a bit longer, and then Yellow Guy remembers a password being Rat Eye. He then puts it into the computer, and Duck's just like, oh yes, your maiden name, and that just completely sent me.
That's the password. Rat Eye.
Your maiden name, of course.
The three of them go online and check their emails, and Yellow Guy finds out he's got no emails at all, and then he just slops into this goop of a person. We then get quite a long period inside Yellow Guy's brain, and this was a part of the episode I couldn't really get into that much. I mean, it looked great, it was so colourful, the characters looked so interesting as well, but it did lose me a bit here. However, the episode just ends strong with some horror imagery, and then Duck pulls the worm out of his ear and says a beautiful line,
Pesky bee.
and the three of them singing Worm in Your Brain followed by the fight was just a great way to end the episode.
He ruined it. I'm never going to see that skeleton.
Thank you! I'm dealing with you!
But yeah, as I said in the review, I liked all the episodes, but this would be one I'd probably pick the last if I had to pick out of any of them. Moving on to number 5 now, and it's episode 5, Transport. The episode starts with Duck and his clipboard, and he's counting everything in the room, like the dead flies, for example. Red Guy says he hates the clipboard and gets a great reaction from Duck and Yellow Guy.
What did you say?
And in this episode, you can really feel Red Guy's frustration of being stuck in this place, and I love it when he leaves the kitchen and just sees the guys again in the living room. We then get the introduction of the old leaky train, and he's not in the best shape to be honest, but he's just singing a lovely song. We later see as Red Guy drives the car through the wall onto the road, but the number plate spells Leslie, which at the time I was like, are they going to explain what that's all about? But we do understand by episode 6 what that is all about. And in general, I really enjoyed the foreshadowing in this episode. Like for example, we see Yellow Guy looking at the car window and seeing a fully charged Yellow Guy looking back at him. And of course, the whole conclusion of the episode where they go out of bounds into the real world and we see Leslie then take them back to square one again. And I always like it when cartoon characters or characters from like video games go out of bounds into areas they're not supposed to. And it always reminds me of that episode from The Simpsons where Homer, it's 3D and he goes into the real world. Because even though it might be silly to say, I think it plays on your mind about, if they can go into our world, can we go into their world, I mean, let me know down in the comments, would you like to go into their world and join the three of them? Anyway, some great things happen in this episode while they're in the car. Like for example, back at home we have the Time Child.
Time Child! Hey guys, drink this space alcohol and come with me to the 6th dimension!
We also have one of the more catchier songs in the show.
We're going fast, we're going forward with such good company.
And on the back seat, Duck's scrolling through Watchbox looking through the shows and he's on the A's, it's kind of like Netflix where you're just scrolling forever and at the end of the day you're just going to watch what you plan to watch anyway. And they watch Grolton and Hovres once again and it's kind of like a off-putting Wallace and Gromit. And I say they were watching it, but it's mostly Duck because Duck pushes Yellow Guy away. And shortly after that scene we see Yellow Guy have a dream about what life would be like with neighbours. And it was all very reminiscent of things like Postman Pat, and I think if you like the whole lore building of the show, this scene was quite a crucial one because we have the voiceover from Leslie and we have him like getting the gift of a rat and then going into the road and we hear her saying, be careful now. So what that all means in terms of those characters is up for discussion. But yeah, overall a fun episode with Red Guy taking a leading role and with some great lead up towards the finale. In number 4 we have the final episode titled Electricity. We start this episode without having a title sequence and instead we see Leslie winding up the house as it spins into the start of the episode. We see Duck doing a word search, or in this case a word hole. After Yellow Guy puts the plates in the bin and gets some plates from the cupboard falling on top of him, the Red Guy opens up a letter to see they got an electricity bill which is overdue and on its final notice. And with that, cue the appearance of the electricity meter called Electracy, and she starts to sing a song to the guys. And the best part of the song is definitely the personal shredder bit with Duck when he's just sort of going into like a trance about the personal shredder. And the funny thing is I was watching this episode while eating shredded duck, so kind of fitting really. Following that, Duck swaps the batteries from Electracy into Yellow Guy, so we learn that Yellow Guys run on batteries, and also the batteries inside Yellow Guy beforehand were pretty run down and even smelt like the whole room out. And with these new batteries, Yellow Guy does a whole 180 and becomes the smartest one out of the three. He combs his hair, he makes made up words like tariff, and he also goes upstairs. And just on the batteries quickly, I like the connection between the batteries coming from a meter, because many people have a smart meter these days, so those batteries then go into Yellow Guy, now he becomes smart. In the first room, we come across the big boys, as they call themselves, and they seem a lot more educated than the ones downstairs. While this is all going on, Red Guy and Duck are trying to make everything electric. Yellow Guy then ventures into the bigger boys room, and I thought that the design for Duck in this room was really cool. And in this room we see the experiment, and it's still unclear what exactly that's all about. On the way to the next door, Yellow Guy sees on the wall a picture of him approaching the door he's about to enter, and it seems like it's in an endless loop. Yellow Guy meets Leslie, who seems to be the person behind everything which is going on. She plays the piano calmly, and we see that she's got a dollhouse with the three of them in it. She's got plenty of reserves as well. And I think as a human character, her look is great. There's so much you can look into there with the coat and everything like that. She speaks nicely for the most part, but at one point she erupts and says, "You're not my real son."
You're not my real son! Only joking.
And this episode is great for the lore and the theories because of course Don't Hug Me I'm Scared was built on that theory discussion online. In terms of my theory behind it, I think Leslie's son tragically died and then she went around the neighbourhood and abducted other boys and put them in her basement, and then that's why they're feeling so trapped down there, and the whole stair thing there as well. I'm trying to think how everything works into play, but I think that's the general sort of thing I'm thinking about. Because the creators like to get pretty dark, so I think it's got to be something on that sort of level. But of course, share yours in the comments below. Red Guy and Duck are navigating through the dark, and we see some of the characters from the YouTube series, basically the leftovers. And before we can show the other guys, Duck steals the batteries back from him and he goes back to the way he used to be. The three of them celebrate shredding the book, and that's how the episode and the series ends. I thought this episode was really great. I quite liked how they concluded this series. I thought it was quite satisfying. It also keeps it open for more things for a season 2 if they do one. But yeah, definitely be an episode I watch many times in the future because I enjoy that mystery, and of course I don't give you the answers, so the discussion will be there until they do more episodes. And of course I can't forget the Shredder. The Shredder is amazing. Moving into the top 3 now, we have the first episode titled Jobs. This one starts with the three of them around the table and Duck wants to know what's going to happen today, so Red checks the hand captain to see that their schedule consists of nothing. Then we see the appearance of the main teacher of the episode, and that is Briefcase. Yellow Guy thinks he has a job, but the Briefcase says that that's just a welt, which looks a lot like the experiment we see in episode 6, but how that all connects I'm not totally sure. He sings a pretty catchy song which also includes unemployed Brendan, and then he leaves the three guys at work. The three of them ask the workers if they've seen the briefcase anywhere, and Duck gets straight to the point.
Attention freaks, it's me. We're supposed to be starting our new job any moment. How do we get out of here and away from you immediately?
Red Guy goes into the next room to answer the phone while Yellow Guy gets to work, and we get that really cringy sort of small talk you have at a workplace, and I think this episode really got that environment and that atmosphere on point. And then we get the start of a beautiful friendship between Duncan and Duck. And when he takes the helmet off Duncan's head, I think that's a great example of what makes this show so great. We have a funny moment, but then it's followed by an absolutely horrific one. But Mr. Lunch, or the vending machine, enters the fray full of song, and Duck's not so keen on it.
Stop it!
And I love that the dinner tray has a little holder for the cigarette. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. The dinner being lasagna is a layered dinner, which is maybe a reference towards the show being so layered. Duck says he wants 2 of everything, but he doesn't have a lunch token, so he has to go to the free vending machine, which has definitely seen better days, and he basically gets diarrhea in his hand. Yellow Guy bonds with the workers while Duck wants to go.
If you're going, can I have your lasagna?
Get away from me, Duncan.
While all this is going on, Red Guy's in the office and he's getting wooed by a fax machine, and eventually he starts wearing a suit. Later we see him yell down the phone and get given his dinner, which is salmon with some diamonds on top, so it really just shows that divide between the boss and the workers. Duck watches a company introduction video and then goes into the office to see that Red Guy is now the boss, and after a little bit of a pickle, he gets fired by Red Guy. Red Guy then runs into Yellow Guy in the men's toilet, and we see the urinal come off the wall and walk outside and call the urinal support helpline or something. We then jump back to Duck, who's in this lift, and we get a song which is very psychedelic experience sort of a song, and then he gets told by the machine that he has to share his complaints with the care hound. After the Carehound treatment, Duck exits the lift all wet and he's ready to work, but we see that the time has gone forward 40 years. Yellow Guy's got a wife and kid, and Red Guy is still eating lasagna to this day. Duck flips out, throws a card on the conveyor belt, and then we see Yellow Guy's hand get shredded apart. Duck goes to get the first aid kit, and that's where the briefcase has been the whole time. He continues the song and they're back to where they were at the start. And then we get my favourite end to any of the episodes, where we get the coin flipped by the briefcase and it goes straight into Duck's eye. So yeah, as the first episode for the series, I thought it had a solid start, and it had a lot of what I was expecting. We had a fun teacher character, we had a good song, we had some good horror and some good comedy as well mixed in there, so I thought it was decent. And as I mentioned earlier, I enjoyed that comedy around the workplace and how this episode really did sort of magnify certain things of work in general. Moving into the top 2 now, and in second place with the episode titled Family. The intro yet again gives us some more nuggets with the 3 of them in picture frames, with Red Guy saying he's quite tall, with Duck saying he's going bald, and with Yellow Guy also saying he's going bald. Now getting into the episode Family, Duck asks Red Guy and Yellow Guy to guess what he's found in the pantry. It turns out to be a packet of Chuddle Dollops, which they guess in 2 out of the 3 guesses, but Duck wants them to still guess the 3rd guess. And then we get the appearance of these creepy ass twins, Lily and Todney. Now these 2 really brought me back to my childhood with twins, or siblings. There's loads of them at the time, Jack and Jill, Nursery Rhyme, or Rosie and Jim. And with how their eyes move, it just reminded me of Teletubbies with the lion and the bear, which as a child I never really got scared of, but apparently it got loads of complaints. And I can kind of see why. They all get in on a discussion about how they're family and how they're actually related at all. Red Guy thinks he's a father figure, but Duck's got a wallet full of photos of real people. Yellow Guy says he has a family and then thinks about Roy Gribbleston. And just on Roy, we saw him a little bit here and there in the series. We saw him in the transport episode, for example, in the back of the car, and then got thrown out by Red Guy. Duck says they're not technically family, but they live together and they have the same lawyer, so that works for them. Following on from this, we get a song from Todney and Lily about family, and this was another one of my favourite tunes from the series.
That's what family means to me and my family.
The 3 of them then go with Todney and Lily to meet the family, and this house is proper creepy. There's loads of things to look at, like the tea being poured looks like a thick curry sauce, the portrait on the wall, there's the mother's face seems to have been painted out. The look of the family members are very well designed and adds to that creep factor. While watching some family videos at the time, apparently Todney was stung by a bee, but Mother kissed it better, and of course we know about pesky bees.
Pesky bee?
Then Todney, Lily and the 3 of them play a board game, and the symbols on the cards are kind of like what we saw from the book in the last episode. And Todney refuses to read out the card because it's a family secret. And when Lily goes around the table and grabs Yellow Guy and you see the human hand come round on his shoulder, that was really well done. I thought that was one of the creepiest scenes from the whole episode. Also, I didn't mention earlier about their mouths. How their mouths move, it unsettles me. Duck breaks the rules and touches Mother's piece, so gets banished and ends up back in the kitchen. We see some pictures featuring some other family members with their faces crossed out, but Red Guy's too bold about the lovely frames.
Yes?
Nice. Framed pictures.
And apparently their Uncle Terry died and went on fire. Red Guy wants to know about his family, so the family tree takes some blood. A lot of blood. Duck in the kitchen asks some bread if he can be their dad, but they're not so keen, and Duck puts a slice in the toaster and he ends up like Uncle Terry. And then we get a lovely song from Duck about family and that he only needs himself for his family.
Some financial help, I know who to rely on.
Todney and Lily take Yellow Guy in, and even though it's bright outside, they go to bed. And we get a lovely lullaby from Todney. Red Guy has a family photo taken, but once it gets taken, he falls back into the kitchen. Todney and Lily have tied up Yellow Guy and make him their mummy. The family make Yellow Guy order the family tub before his dad Roy appears at the door, and then he tucks into his own family tub. And with that, Roy gets the MVP of the episode because, he may be a mystery, but he's our mystery. They all end up back round the table, so Red Guy opens up the Chuddle Dollops, which are warm lasagna flavours apparently. And unfortunately for the 3 of them, only 2 come out.
I guess we could share.
Ultimately, with the family episode, they really focus a lot of the horror into this one. Todney and Lily were delightfully creepy as a Hansel and Gretel type. And this one gets my second place because I really enjoyed the horror ride with this one. And also, Roy comes in at the end and does his thing. So, to the number 1, and that is the episode titled Death. Duck learns from the newspaper that he is indeed dead. And on the front of the newspaper it says power surge leads to blackout. So does that mean that episode 2 actually takes place after episode 6? Which plays into that whole time loop we mentioned earlier. Duck thinks Red Guy is jealous of him being dead, and then Duck's heart falls out onto the floor and bleeds into the creation of the Coffin character. And make with it what you will, but the coffin's made out of the floorboards. And then we get one of the best songs of the series, Big Day.
We gotta get things ready for the big day.
What are we doing?
Oh no, it's the funeral. It's the funeral, sorry.
After getting confused and making a shepherd's pie, Red Guy and Yellow Guy attend Duck's funeral, and we see Duck in the coffin and he greets them saying, "Hey guys!" The tombstone reads David, which is what we believe to be Yellow Guy's real name, with the D on his front. And the stuff in the pile also helps confirm this because we see the broken plates, which of course he was breaking in episode 6. We see some of Duck/David's best moments before he gets lowered down into the ground. Back at home, Red Guy and Yellow Guy go into the kitchen and see they have a load of mourners. They get given a goodie bag which includes a new friend kit. A claymation friend gets brought to life, and much to the Yellow Guy's dislike, they redo the title sequence with him included. Duck isn't so great at playing dead and becomes a right pain in the ass for the coffin. Red Guy shows the claymation character around the house and even shows him the stain. And towards the end of the episode we get a couple of songs, one from the claymation character and one from Red Guy and Yellow Guy called Memories. And you can properly dissect these lyrics. For example, Duck apparently told Yellow Guy about the military and also told him that he's far too weak to join the military. Yellow Guy digs up Duck and they return home to see that the claymation character has turned into a clone of Duck. And we get this great standoff between the original Duck and the new Duck. And then cue the music, we get the 4 of us.
There's 4 of us, there's 4 of us. Look closely, you will see.
And at the end of the song, one of the Ducks kills the other, and we believe from where they were standing that the original Duck got killed by the new Duck. And the credit song is also fantastic, with Duck singing a song about meeting people, and it's meeting all the different people from the 6 episodes.
When you meet the friendly fellow, you must shake him by the hand. When you meet the plug-in man, you must shake him by the hand.
And I think if you watch this episode after watching episode 6, it's even better because, you know, if you watch it first time, you're probably going to watch it from 1 to 6 in order. But having that knowledge from episode 6 makes a lot of the, you know, the words in this episode and lots of the hidden things behind it a lot more impactful. But yeah, I think the death episode is probably one of the funniest of the 6. A lot of that comes down to Duck and how he is with the coffin. But it also had plenty of things to analyse, which is exactly what you want from a Don't Hug Me I'm Scared episode. So from this and everything we've talked about so far, I feel like Red Guy is like the older brother of Yellow Guy. He's very protective of him at times, and also he is the tall one. And with Duck, he's possibly the father or an older relative. I mean, there's a good chance that I might have missed some things, so this could be all completely bollocks, but if so, let me know down below. And also, while you're down there, let me know how you'd rank the episodes from worst to best. But yeah, other than my choice for bottom, which I thought was pretty easy, the other 5 episodes, I could have moved them around quite a bit. So it'll be interesting to see how you place them. I do plan to do another couple of videos on this show, so keep it locked to the channel. But if you're looking for something else to watch on screen right now, is a video which YouTube are recommending for you.